Good morning. This is the time and place for the Zoning Administrator's hearing for October 22, 2008. My name is Edith Fuentes, and I will be conducting the hearing as hearing officer. We have 4 cases today, and relevant exhibits are posted on the panels located directly behind me. Let me just quickly go through our hearing procedure. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a variance shall be granted if 4 required findings are present. 1. That the strict application of the ordinance would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary hardship inconsistent with the general purposes and intent of the ordinance. 2. That there are exceptional circumstances or conditions applicable to the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property that do not apply generally to other property in the same zone or neighborhood. 3. That the granting of the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public health or welfare or injurious to the property or improvements in such zone or neighborhood in which the property is located. And 4, that the granting of the variance will not be contrary to the objectives of the ordinance. Under the provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, a conditional use permit shall be granted if 4 required findings are present. 1. That the proposed use will be consistent with the elements and objectives of the general plan. 2. That the use and its associated structures and facilities will not be detrimental to the public health or safety, the general welfare, or the environment. 3. That the use and facilities will not adversely affect or conflict with adjacent uses or impede the normal development of surrounding property. And 4, that adequate public and private facilities will be provided for the use. For applications involving the sale, serving, or consumption of alcoholic beverages, the 5 criteria set forth in making the findings, subsection A through D, shall also be met. If the evidence presented in the application and at the hearing meets the criteria just described, then the zoning administrator can either approve or impose conditions for approval on the case in question. If the findings of fact are not evident, then the request will be denied. Notification of this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property, physically posted on the site in question, and placed in the local newspaper. The hearing will proceed as follows. I will read a description of the application or the request, and then read reports received from other city departments and other letters or communications from interested parties. The applicant will be asked to come forward stating both name and address, and will be asked to present the case within a 15-minute time limit. Others in support of or in opposition to the application and any interested parties will be asked to come forward to speak. Again, clearly stating both name and address within a 3-minute time limit. Lastly, the applicant will be given the opportunity to make closing comments if desired in response to testimonies given by preceding speakers within a 5-minute time limit. The hearing will be closed and the case taken under submission. After the hearing, the decision will be prepared in writing and will be in the form of a letter sent to the applicant and to all persons who responded to the public notice, either by speaking at this hearing or by submitting written responses and have provided their name and mailing address. I would like to emphasize that the date of the decision will be the date appearing on the letter. Under the appeal provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30 of the Glendale Municipal Code, The decision may be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the date of the decision. Anyone wishing to appeal may obtain forms and brochures on the procedures from our Building and Safety Section, Permit Services Center, located on the same floor of this building. If you wish to speak, please write your name and address on one of these speaker forms, which have been provided by the front door, and submit it to our planning assistant. I would like to also inform everyone that the official proceedings of the zoning administrator's hearing are recorded on tape as part of public record. Okay, our first case was continued from our September 17th public hearing because of the comments on the environmental information report. So, at this time, what I'd like to do is, the case is PCUP 2008-001. Location is 3443 East Chevy Chase Drive. Applicant is Edward Hagobian. Property owner is Iftakhar Zaidi. And the environmental information form initial study was number 2008-002, and this is on file. This is an application for a conditional use permit to construct a new single-family dwelling on a vacant lot with an average current slope exceeding 50% and where more than 1,500 cubic yards of earth material is proposed to be moved, located at 3443 East Chevy Chase Drive in the ROS Residential Open Space Zone, described as portion of Lot A, Sycamore Canyon Tract. And with that, I'm just going to ask our environmental planner to let you know what we have done as far as the report and responses to the comments. So, Eric or Chris?
Thank you and good morning. Essentially what we ended up doing is we went through the comments that were submitted by various residents and neighbors and prepared a response to comments as part of the final mitigated negative declaration. And those were sent to the zoning administrator earlier this week. And I believe the applicant has a copy as well. Okay. Essentially, we just responded to the comments that were submitted as part of the final environmental negative declaration and found that the mitigated neg deck, there were a few minor changes we had to make, and finding that there is a blue line stream located near the site. However, it's a pretty far distance from the project site and also from the proposed development area. So those are kind of minor changes we had to make to the mitigated neg deck as part of the process, but still found that no significant impacts would occur as a result of the proposed project.
Okay. And so basically there's no change as far as the mitigated neg deck?
There's no change, but there are some minor clarifications and stuff like that. And I noticed just looking at this thing again, the responses, there are some minor typographical things we need to fix and stuff like that as well. So.
Okay. So, that's what we have done. And at this time, well, let me see, who's gonna speak or do a presentation? You may just want to add on or comment.
Are you going to be taking more testimony?
I think what I'm going to do at this time is just ask if there are additional comments or additional testimonies, anybody that submitted a card, and maybe I'll give everyone like about 2 or 3 minutes. Do you want to come up? Okay, why don't you? Okay. So, nothing. Ed Hagobian, you're only here as a resource. Okay. I have Vic Kakadurian, you're also here as... Okay. So we have the architect, the engineer, the planning consultant, Mr. James Ward. 3 minutes, please.
Good morning. James Ward, 3441 East Chevy Chase Drive, a neighbor of this site. I would like to possibly have a copy of your document that was prepared.
They're on file, and like we said,
It was just available this week on file.
yes.
Okay,
I also
that's
got,
really didn't
I also
give
got a copy, I think Monday or Tuesday, so.
Okay, then I do question the public
I have 2
process.
extra copies right here, and we'll be able to give you one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to put into question the public process since this was prepared less than 10 days prior to this hearing and you had a continuance of the process. You really have not given me or the public an opportunity to review the response and be able to make comments. I have not seen this document, so as of right now, I'm going to state that I am not prepared to address this. I am prepared, though, with another document I'd like to give you, which is a request about the size of the building. I concurred with neighbors that an 8,000 or 7,956 square foot house is 3 times the size of the conforming houses in that neighborhood, and it should be addressed that it is not appropriate for that location. It is non-conforming. The other thing is, I do question the city, even though I have not looked at this document, whether they contacted the Fish and Game and allowed them to have an internal review of this document so that they can either have a streamlined agreement or if the impact of the drainage and the grading will affect that blue line stream. They say it is a distance away, but it is direct drainage playing into it. And they believe, as you did in your internal surveys that you sent to other departments, that they were supposed to be on the list to approve this type of mitigated negative deck. I've been in contact with them, and they have not been in contact with the city of Glendale. And I would like to make sure that you have addressed your internal documents, which stated that some of the soils reports were on a different site and that there's other plants that have to be addressed. So besides the size of this building on a very steep slope, again, in a drainage plane that does affect environmentally sensitive areas, that I think the size of the house needs to be reconsidered. A 3-story structure that is close to 8,000 square feet, including the attached 800 square foot garage, is inappropriate for this neighborhood and for that slope. I hope you address the landslide potential and the geographical issues in this document. The last thing I'd like to say is the public process has been voided again. If this was a continuance, why was the sign on the property removed within 3 days of the continuance and no date affixed to it of a continuance, so that if you drove by the property, this sign is no longer available for the public to make comment. So unless you were at that meeting or you were in contact with somebody who watched the video, this has not been a public open forum. Okay? It has been a closed session, and the developers wanted to keep it that way.
Thank you very much. Mr. Dick Murray. Three minutes, please.
My name is Fuentes, staff. I'm Dick Murray, president of the Chevy Chase Estates Association, in which this project exists. I oppose the project for the following reasons. Number one, the proposed house is huge, 7,956 square feet, plus a 4-car garage, 861 square foot garage, totaling 8,820 square feet. Shades of El Tovar. It's more than 3 times bigger than anything in the neighborhood. It's absolutely, unquestionably incompatible. And compatibility is something that all of the organizations in the city are required to consider and to be satisfied with, including yourself, including all the other groups, and the city council as well. It's impossible to make the findings given the size of this house, plus the slope exceeds the 50% by at least 59%, we will double check that slope, because many cases the slope as given to us in the record has proven wrong, and we've been able to verify that. Number 3, it's on a geological potential landslide area. Number 4, it is adjacent to the sensitive stream, and the state Fish and Game people need to be contacted. We need to have their response to it, because this is downhill slope with all of the cubic yards being taken out, which exceeds the code again, 2,200 plus some landfill. Downhill, it's going to flow into that stream. The lot has a narrow, winding driveway. The fire department has expressed concerns, as presently configured, whether emerging vehicles can make that turn to get in there in the event of a fire. This project is so extreme, I'll say again, as we said at the last hearing, it requires not just this mitigated declaration, it requires and should have an ERI, Environmental Impact Report. The findings, Ms. Fuentes, are clearly not able to be made primarily based on the huge size of this home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Eric, I'm just going to ask you, as far as Mr. Ward brought up the issue of the report regarding the mitigated neg deck. What we did there is just take a look at the concerns and questions that they have done, but as far as this is concerned, we have met all the public notices, comment period, and everything else, or do we have to redo the whole?
Yes, Ms. Fuentes. As far as regarding, he made a reference to 10 days prior to a public meeting or public hearing. For neg decks or mitigated neg decks, that's not a requirement under CEQA. That's specifically for EIRs. You have to give agencies that had commented on the EIR 10 days to take a look at it prior to certifying the EIR. And in instance, too, as far as the responding to comments, that's not actually a requirement under CEQA. It's a policy that the city moves forward with neg decks and mitigated neg decks. We're not required to respond to those. Those only need to be made a consideration of the approving body prior to them making a decision. So it's not, responses aren't necessary, nor is the 10 days prior.
Okay. So we've met all the requirements as far as...
It's concerning CEQA, yes.
CEQA. Thank you very much. Okay. From the applicant side, does anybody want to comment or say anything? Mr. Vic Chakadurian.
Yes.
3 minutes, please.
Madam Zoning Administrator, I just want to state...
Give me your name and address.
Yes. My name is Vic Kachadurian. My address is 1101 East Broadway, Suite 201, Glendale, California 91205. I just would like to state a few clarifications or responses to items that were mentioned by previous speakers today. A landslide potential was mentioned, and it was also mentioned that the soils reports were for other sites. I'd like to state that we hired a very competent soil engineer, one of the best in the Los Angeles area, Mr. Jay Bayer, and he did a detailed investigation. We investigated all landslide potentials, and the report addresses all issues adequately, and they will be taken up by your engineering, by the city's engineering staff, who are very qualified to do that. And I would also like to state that it was repeatedly stated this hearing and previously that grading over 1,500 cubic yards is against the code. I believe that's not against the code. That's what the CUP process is for. When a size of this nature, because of its topography, requires certain amounts of grading to place a house, we go through the CUP process, and then if proper findings are made, conditions are imposed. It's not against the code. It's going through the process and going through whatever, the city's ordinances require. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hagobian or Ms. Williams? 3 minutes, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond to some of the comments, and most of the comments that were made today, I did pick up a copy of the responses yesterday and went through them, and it looks like those comments have been addressed by staff. But a single-family home on a slope exceeding 50% and grading in excess of 1,500 cubic yards is allowed with a conditional use permit. We seek no variances here. The amount of earthwork is reasonable for this proposed development given its small footprint on the hill. We must remember the two issues on the table today are slope and earthwork quantity. This project conforms with the hillside design guidelines. The house will be set back over 100 feet from Chevy Chase Drive, and it will cover less than 8% of the lot. It meets and exceeds all setback, landscaping, lot coverage, floor area ratio, height, open space, and parking requirements. It will not be visible from neighboring homes. Issues related to design are best addressed at the Design Review Board meeting, but the comment that the house is 3 times the size of the neighboring houses, it's also true that the lot is well over 3 times the size of the neighboring lots, and it's appropriate in scale for the lot. As for the Blue Line stream, staff has addressed it in responses to the letters and notes that that stream is 190 feet away from any area of soil disturbance on the lot. And incidentally, it would be the same Blue Line stream that is adjacent to the neighboring properties. There are 3 residences immediately adjacent to the subject property sharing a lot line, and 1 vacant parcel. Very dense and tall vegetation separates the subject property from the neighboring residential lots. With 93% of the property left undisturbed, the impact on wildlife will be negligible. We understand the goal of the opposing side is to stop all development in Glendale and especially on Chevy Chase. However, we take exception to comments made only to incite anger within the community of Glendale's homeowners. El Tovar was an unfortunate episode in Glendale's history where a house was built 5,000 square feet larger than it was approved for. Referring to this project as El Tovar is not only unfair, but it's untrue and it's just mean-spirited. And we would like those kind of references to stop. Let us remember, please, the 2 issues on the table today are slope and grading. We seek no exceptions to the code. We comply with every law and guideline and every criteria for granting a conditional use permit, and we urge your approval of this request today. Thank you.
What's the lot area again? It's about...
The lot area. I'm sorry?
1.65 acres.
1.65
acres. Okay.
67,000 square feet.
Plus or minus.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Mr. Hagobian?
My name is Edward Hagobian. I'm the architect of this project, and my address is 220 South Kenwood Street, Suite 210, Glendale 91205. I don't have much to say except that the slope calculation first of all, this survey is done by a licensed surveyor, and the slope calculation is done by the same person. And if Mr. Dick Murray, if he has any objection, we will be happy to see what are their version of the calculation. The fire department issue. We have a backup space, a nice backup space designed inside the building, and that will provide the backup space. I believe there will not be a fire engine there, but maybe an ambulance or something like that size of the car. But however, we'll take care of any kind of issue with the fire department, if any other requirements applies to this project, like a fire hydrant or something similar to that. Size of the house, a large portion of that, not large portion, but about a big chunk of it is underground area, which is byproduct.
How much is that underground?
I believe it's 1,800 square foot.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong, this is what I have here. The basement is...
Is it usable space or just dead space?
It's a byproduct of this kind of hillside design. It's there. If we don't use it, we have just to close it and not use it. Again, the visibility issue, we have that big map there showing that that house does not block any other house's view because there's a steep hill going on back of it. So may I come close and show that, or not necessary?
Yeah, sure.
If I...
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Yeah, go ahead. Just walk me through that.
Yeah, this map shows this section, section B, which is this black line here, and section A, that is this purple line here. And in both cases,
That's the house, right?
this is the house that relates to the plan of the house, and this red and purple neighbor are shown here, and this is the green shown here.
Uh-huh.
So on the back of this house will be either this black line here or this purple line here, so there is no house that we block their view. The next closest house will be these two houses here that they have their clear view.
Okay. Thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Chris, are you still going to be here? Do you have another case or no? No. Okay. Thank you. Our next case is variance 2008-032. Location is 350 West Arden Avenue. Applicant is Shorig Yepremian. Property owner is the 350 West Arden building. This is an application for standard and setback variance to amend conditions of approval of a previously approved variance case number 8177S, and to allow for an accessory outdoor use and legalization of an accessory cabana building within the interior setback for an existing office building located at 350 West Garden Avenue in the CPD Commercial Plan Development Zone, described as Lot 121 and 122, Pioneer Investment and Trust Company's Glendale Place. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments. I have an email from a neighbor, Terry Jones, and she lives directly next to the property. I'm not sure if she's at the back or on the side. And she said, the shed behind the building where I live is right next to our property line, and it is a dangerous situation. The shed has ventilation pipes coming out of the roof, and the roof is covered with dry grass. There was just let me see, okay, bamboo fence. She's concerned about the shed creating noise problem, odor problem, and lighting problem for the people behind them. So basically, she thinks the shed is a fire hazard and is in opposition of the application. Oh, her. So it's a her. Terry Jones, okay. And the applicant has been advised by the case planner. The case planner has advised you of those issues, okay. Okay, and we also have a comment from our environmental planner, Eric. I think he was suggesting that we include the conditions of approval from the previously approved variance and also add a condition regarding audio speakers and microphones. So you may want to address that in your presentation. From Neighborhood Services, they're recommending that there should be a condition that any structure utilized for the cabana and outdoor grilling complies with building and safety code regulations, and commercial outdoor grilling be prohibited. From fire prevention, code requirements may be fire sprinklers and permit, and comply with all relevant fire codes for chains of occupancy. I think those are all the comments that I have. No major concerns from other departments. So to present the case, Shari.
Ms. Fuentes, good morning. Shoike Premian of your Premian Consulting. I'm here on behalf of Kevin Wilson of Sterling Management System, who has owned this building since
15 minutes, James. Okay, thank you.
Since 2007. The building that you see in the photographs was built in 1989, and at the time several variances were granted, and you do have that case file on record. It's case number 8177 to construct the two-story commercial office building. I believe the variances include setbacks, lot coverage, and parking access. The proposed project that you have in front of you is to legalize or to maintain the 280 square foot cabana, which is located at the rear of the commercial building. It is not visible from the street level. If you stay on Arden, you would not see the cabana. The only view of the cabana is from the east or the west side of the property. If you go to the residential development towards the back, that's where you can see it, or to the east from the commercial property. We have submitted all relevant plans, including site plan, the elevation of the cabana, photographs, zoning map, location map, a new landscape plan for the rear yard. The photographs also depict, in addition to the cabana, there are tables and chairs, and also some additional landscaping to buffer the commercial use from residential. The proposed application includes a setback variance for the cabana to be located within the rear 30 feet of the property. The CBD zone requires that there is a 30-foot rear setback. That is one item that we are requesting an exception. The variance also includes a standards variance because it is considered an outdoor use. And also part of the standards variance, we have included condition modifications from the previously approved variance of December 8, 1987, and I would like to go over those conditions as well. In 1987 variance approval, there was a condition, which is condition number 2, which says no mechanical ventilation or exhaust equipment to be provided in the rear 30 feet of the property. And we would like to request that condition either be revised or eliminated. Number 3, condition number 3, which talks about a landscape plan for the rear 30 feet of the property. We have provided a new landscape plan to reflect the changes, which includes the cabana and some additional changes. And condition number 3, even though this is not a request, but as we were reviewing the project, something that came up, that condition number 3, limited lighting on the exterior in the rear 30 feet of the property shall be downward directed, pole-mounted fixtures only, which do not glare to the adjacent residential area. Apparently, at the time when the project was built, lighting were installed. That's not what we saw out there, so we would definitely comply with that condition and make sure that lighting is not a problem in the back. I would like to go over the 4 findings. Findings of fact. Number 1, what are the practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships associated with the project? The proposed project is to maintain the existing outdoor cabana on a 16,600 square foot lot. As I mentioned, it's in CBD zone, commercial plant development zone. The site currently has 16,000 square foot commercial office building, which was built in 1989. As I mentioned, we are requesting both a setback variance as well as standards variance to maintain the cabana in the rear 30 feet. Without the 1987 approval, variance approval, the applicant or the property owner at the time would have not been able to develop this site as a commercial office building. I would like to emphasize on the fact that the proposed use is an ancillary use to Sterling Management. They are the major tenant in this building as well as the property owners. Sterling Management, Inc. will be providing this service to its employees and clients only, so there will be no outdoor visitors, clients coming in to use the cabana for snacks or beverages. The proposed cabana, as I mentioned, requires a setback variance to allow the structure to be located within the rear 30 feet. The zoning code, if we look at the CPD zoning and the intent of the 30-foot rear setback, intended to limit the main building location outside of the 30-foot setback, which is a typical 2-story, 35 feet in height. We argued that this is not a situation where we're looking at putting a main building in that 30-foot rear setback. It's a 280 square foot cabana that's 12 feet in height, so it's in no way an intrusion to the rear 30 feet area. The strict application of the code would not allow any accessory uses or accessory structures to be located on this property. Number 2, what is unique about the property involved or to the intended use or development of the property? The property is 16,600 square feet of lot area and is located on Arden Drive. Arden Drive is zone CPD and developed with commercial office buildings with similar land uses. You can also see the Google map there where it shows the building in the middle. You have a non-conforming residential development to the west that goes all the way to the rear property line. You also have another commercial development to the east. The properties to the south zoned are 1250 multifamily residential. The commercial office building has been unique because it is already provided by an open court yard design in the middle of the building. If you visited the building, you would see that there is an open garden area in the middle of the building and an open area in the rear of the property. Sufficient landscaping is provided throughout the property that meets the current code requirement. We also argued that the proposed cabana in the rear adds to the open space environment by providing an opportunity for the tenants to enjoy both passive and active. It would become a passive and active area for the employees to take a break. The hours of operations are listed in the findings. It's basically half hour in the morning, 10 to 10:30, 1 hour during lunchtime, and half an hour in the afternoon between 3 and 3:30. If this cabana or the chairs and tables are not located in the back, the rear 30 feet would not be a usable or functional area at all. Why will granting of the variance not be detrimental to the public welfare? We have indicated in the findings that the proposed cabana addition would upgrade the commercial property to make it more aesthetically pleasing and functional for the tenants. A 280 square foot addition will not be detrimental to the public welfare since the use will continue to be a commercial in nature, consistent with the rest of the commercial uses on Arden. The use of the cabana would only be limited to the tenants of the building. Even though the code requires a 30-foot average setback in the rear, the proposed cabana is only approximately 12 feet in height, which is less than the maximum allowed under the code as 35 feet if this was a commercial development. Therefore, the proposed cabana location in the rear of the property would not create any visual impact to the residential buildings to the south. The existing landscaping at the rear and the code required tree plantings for each 20 linear feet along the interior property line. A budding residential zone would provide sufficient buffer and screening between the subject property and the multifamily residential to the south. We have also, through the property owner, collected over 100 signatures from the adjacent neighbors and tenants. Who have no objections to the location of the cabana or its operation. And finally, number 4, why will granting of the variance be in keeping with the objectives of the applicable regulations? The proposed minor addition is in keeping with the objectives of the applicable regulations. We believe that the overall square footage of the existing office building would not be increased by adding the cabana. The proposed cabana, which is only 280 square feet, would be located in the rear of the existing commercial building, which is not visible from the public right-of-way. Again, the intent of the code provision is to allow uses that allow the highest and best use of the land and to promote desirable type of low-profile commercial office buildings in an open setting. CBD zone very much emphasizes the fact that commercial development in this zone should have that open space setting. The proposed cabana allows the existing open space environment to be enhanced by adding a place for the employees to be outside in a courtyard garden. Sufficient number of parking spaces are also provided, so we're not asking for any exception for parking, side yard setbacks, front setback. The project meets the floor area ratio, lot coverage, height. So we are landscaping requirement both in percentage as well as the code required landscape buffer requirement between commercial and residential. That concludes my presentation. We have the project architect, Kurt, who can perhaps address some of the building and fire code requirements. We also have Kevin Wilson here, who's the building owner and operator. he can perhaps answer some questions as well.
I have
Thank-
some questions
Sure.
for you. This is really a tiki hut, one of those tiki hut bar that you see along, the ocean, or especially in Hawaii, or
Correct.
if you go to those places. So, because when you read the word cabana, it has a different connotation. It's a tiki hut bar. That's really what it is. The cabana, to me, my first impression was, if you go swimming or something, you go to the cabana, you can have a shower, drying, type of facility, or even a massage in a cabana. That's when you say tiki hut bar to me, then right away I'll know you serve drink or small hors d'oeuvres or something. Few questions. Number one, so this was constructed or built without a permit or approval from the city?
Correct. That was my understanding.
Okay. Is it attached to a permanent foundation, or is it just sitting on top of a slab? That's what I want to know. And who can ever answer that can answer that. Number
Okay.
two, if it's not, then is it, I understand the right side interior setback and the rear setback. If it's not, if it's still possible to move it a little bit inside, like I'm looking at maintaining a minimum of 5 feet, from either the right side or at the rear.
The south
If
side
it's
is 7 feet.
Right. Then
Residential side, it's
that's
still...
the 2 feet 8 whatever
Right.
inches. Okay.
But that is a
And-
non-conforming residential development. It's not a
Exactly.
commercial.
But your own property, what's the side setback requirement?
Commercial, I believe it's 5 in CBD.
Minimum of 5, and then you have the 30 feet
Yeah.
something, right? Okay, and I'm trying to get you as close as possible to compliance without really changing the nature of the use or the type of service that you're able to give to your own tenants. And I understand, just for clarification purposes, this is only for use of the tenants within the building. You don't get this rented or used by anybody else from outside.
Just a clarification, the variance approval in 87 included setbacks, so...
What was the minimum approved?
Minimum was 0 feet
Uh-huh.
setback
Or for the main building?
for the main building.
But not for any accessory building?
No.
Now, the other question I have is, if this is one of those tiki hut bar, I'm just looking at the comments from the neighbor. What are those mechanical cooking facilities or outdoor grilling that's happening in the?
Yeah, I can have the project architect explain that, and also, I had the property owner, Kevin Wilson, contact the neighbors, so they had some discussions.
Yeah, because I need to know, because if
Yeah.
there was a specific prohibition in the previous variance for not having those type of mechanical equipments or uses, then I'm really trying hard here. If I'm going to supersede that existing variance, I need to have justifications why. And you also mentioned that this is only used like 30 minutes in the morning, an hour for lunch, and 30 minutes in the afternoon. So what's the need for all of those? So if someone can answer those questions,
Okay, sure.
I'll be enlightened a little bit more. Okay, and whoever's going to speak, I'm just going to ask you later on to fill out one of these speaker cards. Go ahead. Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Fuentes. My name is Ben Curtis Sturgill. I'm with Sturgill Associates Architects, and I'm representing Kevin Wilson from an architectural point of view. To address the neighbors' concerns regarding the fire safety issues, our intent is to comply fully with the City of Glendale's fire requirements as well as state building codes with the nature of the roof and the materials on the building. So we will be in compliance with that. I had one question regarding one of the comments from one of your departments I didn't quite understand about no outdoor grilling.
Yes, that's from our code enforcement neighborhood services.
Okay. All right. There was intended to be a facility for individuals of the building to possibly prepare some food in that facility, in that structure. So a commercial application of hood with fire suppression system would be installed for that use and comply with various code requirements as well as any additional requirements that the county may impose regarding preparation of food.
And
Because this is a commercial facility. So we would be complying with any other agency's requirements.
And you're aware that it is prohibited anywhere in Glendale to do outdoor grilling.
I was not aware of that.
It doesn't matter if it's commercial or industrial. That's why a lot of these restaurants and banquet halls are being required to put their barbecuing and outdoor grilling inside the building.
Okay. Well, this is actually would be inside the cabana.
It doesn't matter. It's
But
still,
I understand.
The cabana is considered like an outdoor use or something, so.
Okay.
Okay, but just letting you know.
Sure. Thanks. Regarding your comment about the possibility of relocation of the building, it was attached to the parking slab that's below it, the 12-inch or 14-inch concrete slab.
Poured concrete?
Yes, it's poured concrete. And it is attached with anchor bolts, and to move it would be a considerable burden. So it's not a freestanding or something that could be picked up and moved easily. But it's always, anything's possible. And if there's any other questions you might have for me?
I think maybe the property owner.
Okay.
Thank you. You can just give it to me. Thank you. Just give me your name and address for the record.
Kevin Wilson. I'm Kevin Wilson. This is Fuentes. 2130 Countryman Lane, La Cañada is my residence address. I'm the property owner.
Okay, so tell me, how long has this tiki hut been there?
Since January
Of this year?
of this year, right.
And you got through the process as soon as you can. Did you receive a violation notice or something, or?
Well, when we had our grand opening in January, we bought the building in late October, November, and we had a grand opening in January, and so we had some music. We played some music, and we weren't aware that we needed to get a permit for the music that evening, and so the same neighbor that complained called, and I think two officers came out, and we just shut the music off, and, it's been pretty quiet ever since.
I was just thinking, this is my wild thinking, had you not bolted it or poured it, with concrete, it could have been a movable cabana, and maybe it would qualify as a movable, structure or something that.
Well, we can certainly look at that. Really, it really isn't an accessory, and my clients love it, my staff
I know,
love it. I mean, you understand that, and so I would be willing to do that, make it movable.
I think like what Ms. Yepremian said, it gives them a good place to go for breaks, lunchtime, just to unwind.
Exactly.
Especially if your boss is giving you too much stress. You distress out there, you kind of sit down, The other question I have is, are you serving alcoholic beverage in there?
No, I've never served alcoholic beverages. Coffee and Cokes.
That's good. So this is your tiki Starbucks hut, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think my main concern is the 2-foot 8-inch setback from this side. So
Okay.
if I'm going to advise you to look into that and see if we could, move it a little bit inside. That's my only,
Okay.
my main
And
issue.
making it,
The fact that it's a very light, structure.
Mhm.
It's not really heavily used. It's only for a few hours in a day, or special events or occasion. Let's say an office will have a little party or birthday event or meeting or something. They want to do it outdoor, then, that's a good place to do it. And it's only for the use of your tenants.
Right.
Then, other than that, if we cannot do the moving of it, I really see it as a self-imposed, hardship or self-induced hardship. But we'll see what we can do.
and just a clarification, would it make a big difference if it was mobile?
I think it will. You may want to double check with building and safety.
Okay.
Because they may have a different take on it. As far as I'm concerned, like some of those portable gazebos you put on top of a little jacuzzi, then it becomes like a movable, furniture or something.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak in support or in opposition to this application? Seeing none, do you have any closing comments, Ms. Yepremian?
Yes, Ms. Fuentes, just to again address the setback variance, your proposition that perhaps the cabana or the hut can be moved. Again, we operated under the previous variance, 8177, which already allowed 0-foot setback for the building, both on the first floor and second floor, and we didn't have to file any variances in regards to setback because we were within those boundaries. So we will work with you and the building department and the fire department on some of those issues, and we hope you will give us a favorable decision. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to again make my position very clear. I'm looking at separation, open space, setback. Though you may have a 0 setback granted by the previous variance, I can almost assure you 100% this structure was not shown in the exhibit before. So saying you have to be in full compliance with the exhibits shown at the public hearing, this was not shown, at that time. And I'm also trying to balance the previous variance. The prohibitions as far as the mechanical equipment and those other type of things, we're also going to have to look into the outdoor preparation or, something. Some of the conditions may just eliminate that or allow you like just for food warming or heating up, but not the full-blown cooking, out there. Again, it's unusual that there is a non-conforming residential use next to your building, but it's there, and I have to take that into consideration also. Other than that,
Thank you for your time.
thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, take this case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much for coming. And I was just given a quick note. Our last case number CUP 2008-033, located at 544 to 546 West Broadway. This case will be continued to our public hearing of November 5, 2008, without further notice because the required sign was not posted on time. So you may want to talk to your case planner, Roger Kiesel. And again, Case number 2008-033, located at 544-546 West Broadway, will be continued to our public hearing of November 5, 2008, without further notice. And this is for a CUP for a private school, a kindergarten school, right? Okay. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 10:40 in the morning. Thank you very much for coming. Okay. We're coming back in session. I'm sorry about that. We skipped one case. The case is CUP 2008-028. Location is 1418 West Kenneth Road. The applicant is Structural Solutions and the property owner is Andre Torosian. This is an application for a conditional use permit to allow the sale, service, and on-site consumption of beer and wine at an existing counter service with limited seating restaurant. This is previously classified as a delicatessen, located at 1418 West Kenneth Road in the C1 Neighborhood Commercial Zone, described as lots 46 and 47, track number 6165. And let me just quickly go through some of the comments we received. Okay. I don't see any major concerns or communications. I have one here from Police Department, and so you have a type 41 license, liquor license?
Yes, it's just beer and wine.
Beer and wine, okay. Okay, and so you have an existing conditional use permit and it expired last year. Okay. And okay, very good. So Raj Javadveshan, go ahead.
Good morning, Ms. Fuentes. Harash Javadvesian at Structural Solutions, 411 North Central Avenue in Glendale, California, 91203. This is a case of trying to maintain the conditional use permit that was permitted in December of 2002 at a small restaurant on Kenneth. The existing use has not been changed. No seating arrangements have been changed, and the basic use of the beer and wine we would like to just keep the same way. Roger and I discussed the other city departments that have made comments, and luckily there were no negative comments on them, on any of their responses. And would like to keep this short and request to be reinstated with the conditional use permit on the continuation of the same requirements that we've had with the small restaurant and delicatessen. This establishment has been there for about 18 years, and many of the city residents and even city employees have dined there. Would like to just keep the same use, if possible. Thank you.
I just have a quick, as far as the conditions of approval from the previous conditional use permit that expired last December 2007, is there anything or any of those conditions that you're not able to meet, or is everything okay with you?
They're all okay. We shall continue with the same conditions. Be no problem at all.
I really see your place as a restaurant. That's the only Italian restaurant I go in Kennett Village. But
it's a nice cozy establishment, and it's been
we're still classifying you as a existing counter service with limited seating restaurant.
Correct.
What's the occupancy that you have right now?
I'd have to check into that. There's basically about 4 tables with about 3 employees there. It's a small place due to the limited space that we have. It's a small place, but quite a few people have been coming and enjoying the place, and we're fortunate to keep it that way.
It's a very nice restaurant, by the way.
Thank you so much.
I think staff, we've even gone out there for one of our luncheon meetings. So.
Yes, you have.
Very good. Okay, and I didn't see any major issues or concerns from anyone, no communications from any interested parties, no negative comments or anything like that. So I'm not going to make you stay longer than you already did. I even closed the public hearing on you. I thought they were from Broadway instead of Kenneth. And I have no further questions or concerns, so do you have anything else you wanted to say or add before?
No. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, good.
See you.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to go ahead, take your case under submission, and we'll let you know. Thank you for coming. And now I'm really closing the public hearing at 10:50 in the morning. Thank you.